Hello everybody and welcome to another top 5 board gaming video. It's that time again where I'm going to mention 5 more games that I am really looking forward to playing, seeing, and just generally talking about. I've been doing this a lot and I've been having a lot of fun with it, reading about new games and all this sort of thing. And again, I hope that you guys have been enjoying them as well. But of course, let me know in the comments what games you are looking forward to and why. Some of these games have already been released but are very, very recent. Others are on pre-order and won't be released until later this year or early next year or anything in between. I'm super excited to get into it with 5 more games, and so we're going to just jump right in with my number 5. At number 5, I've got Nobuoshima Hex 3.0 Year of Moloch. This is an interesting game because Nobuoshima Hex 3.0 is actually a pretty old game, and this is actually an anniversary edition. It's kind of unique though because it's being released first off as a limited edition, so they're only going to print 20 of the games, and they're going to have a lot of upgraded parts. It's going to be essentially a big box to hold all of the armies from Nobuoshima and all of that kind of stuff. If you're a fan of the Nobuoshima series and the lore, it's probably going to be a must-have for you. Essentially, it's being released as the 2020 edition because that's when this guy Moloch came to power and when all of his lore started. So it's kind of a cool little tie-in in that sense. It's really low on my list personally though because I'm not a huge fan of it, but I like the idea of doing this type of thing. I'm not a huge fan of limited edition stuff, but for the right audience, it's absolutely perfect. Nobuoshima Hex 3.0, the anniversary edition, my number 5. At number 4, I've got Fairy Trails. In this game, the idea is that you're placing roads down and trying to put houses down so that fairies and gnomes and whatnot can live inside of them, and it just seems like a very nice, calm, and relaxing thing. And on top of that, it's a theme that we don't particularly see too often. Of course, we see a lot of high fantasy and that sort of thing with dragons and swords and all this kind of thing, but not this more sort of mellow kind of little woodland creatures living in the forest and all that kind of stuff, everybody getting along type of thing. So I'm really curious exactly how the mechanics are going to play out with this, but it seems interesting enough, and I'm not one for art too much, but I do like the way it looks overall. And that said, it is my number 4. At number 3, I've got Night of the Ninja. This seems like it's going to be an interesting social deduction game where it's going to combine together some aspects of like Bang and Shadowhunters, where you're on a particular team but you don't know who's with you, alongside some things like Citadels, where you're picking a role every single round and you're able to do different things. So like many social games, this can be played with a whole lot of people, and I like the idea of having the specific roles that'll change round over round, in addition to the underlying team aspect as well. So I'm really curious how it works. In addition, as far as the art is concerned, since I've been talking about it, in this particular case, it's all papercraft style art, so it fits the theme of the ninja with Japanese culture and origami and that sort of thing pretty well, and it looks like an interesting thing, and so I'm very, very curious how it goes. Night of the Ninja, my number 3. At number 2, I've got Chronicles of Crime 1400. That's right, it's the same game, but way back then. So Chronicles of Crime really took the board gaming world by storm with a new way of doing narrative storytelling, problem solving, logical deduction, and all sorts of other different things by using an app that contained dozens and potentially hundreds of upcoming scenarios. The 1400 edition is going to be exactly the same, except we're talking about the Middle Ages. So it's something that I'm really excited to see how they're going to change the environment and the characters and what you can and can't do and how you can do the investigations and all of that sort of thing. I'm super excited for it. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. Chronicles of Crime 1400, my number 2. At number 1, I've got ReNature. This is the latest kind of installment in what's been a line of games that are all about naturism. Getting back to nature, learning about nature and how it works and how we interact with it and all that kind of stuff. We've had games like Photosynthesis, Succulent, Reef, oceans, trekking the national parks, all sorts of different stuff like that, that kind of shows how humans interact with nature as well as abstractly how nature works on its own. With the idea of ReNature, the idea is that you are trying to regrow nature in a place where it once was and now has been abandoned or whatever, and you're trying to essentially get all of this stuff to come back. I absolutely love the theme of this because I think it's really important, especially nowadays when we're talking about climate change and all of this kind of stuff, where we need to think about how can we get nature to take over, at least to an extent again, so that we can get our world as a whole back to normal. Now, maybe I'm putting too much stock in a board game as far as what it's capable of or what its intentions are, but that's the way that I personally see it, and I find it to be absolutely amazing. So with all that, ReNature is my number one. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for me. I hope you enjoyed this October edition of upcoming games that I'm super excited about. Again, some of these games have already been released. Some of them are on pre-order and won't be released for a while. But either way, I am super excited to see them and hopefully at some point play them. Of course, as always with these videos, I want to know what you guys are looking forward to and why. Put anything and everything in the comments below, because we all know there's dozens and dozens of games that are coming out, even though our convention season, such that it was, is now long over. Doesn't matter, we still have the games coming out. That said, as always, if you haven't done so already, please take a look at my various social media pages where you can interact with myself and my channel in a whole bunch of really fun ways. And in addition, if you are still in quarantine for COVID, like this guy is, please stay safe, stay inside, and let's just ride out this storm together, because hopefully it won't be too much longer, but at this point, who knows? Am I right? That said, go out, play some games, have some fun, and I will see you next time.